Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is facing potential criminal charges over aiding and abetting of illegal immigration. Now, I'm a little bit torn on this one. The argument is that AOC was simply informing Americans in general of their rights as it pertains to law enforcement. I don't disagree with that. However, there is a law on the books. I believe it's 18 U.S.C. 1324. I will pull it up. I do have it pulled up. It says you cannot encourage or induce illegal immigration, in which case, even if you are speaking about rights, depending on how you go about this, encouraging illegal immigrants to come or reside here, it's actually a crime. Now, that's interesting because we do have a First Amendment that says there shall be no law respecting, speech, etc. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But still, nonetheless, Congress codified this law, and there are questions about how we deal with it. In which case, so long as it's on the books, AOC can be charged for encouragement, probably not inducement, which we'll get into, and then she would have to challenge it to the Supreme Court, which she may in fact win. The issue at hand is she simply informing people of their rights, or is she offering up strategies to bypass law enforcement, essentially aiding and abetting a criminal? We can make the argument a couple different ways. It's one thing to generally say to the public, look, no matter what you've done, be it you're innocent walking down the street or you robbed a bank, if a cop stops you without cause, probable cause or due process or anything like that, well, not due process, but probable cause, you don't have to stop. You don't got to show them ID unless you're suspected of a crime, in which case the police can detain you, check your ID, and potentially hold you. However, if somebody robs a bank and you then say, to the people who robbed the banks, here's what you need to understand about bypassing law enforcement so you can get away with having robbed the bank. Now we're talking about something else. That's not simply informing someone of their rights, but we don't need analogies. We can literally just go to the issue of illegal immigration. AOC had a webinar hosted. She did not actually attend, where they were providing information specifically to illegal immigrants on how to bypass law enforcement. The question then comes to intent. One could simply argue to a court, no, it was a general, here's what here are your rights as it pertains to ICE. The problem, this is what judges are for. I'll give you a quick example, but first, let me say this. AOC has written a letter to the DOJ, and we now have, after this congressional hearing, what appears to be potentially illegal statements made by the mayor of Boston, who told illegal immigrants, this is your home, effectively saying, stay here. That's actually a crime. I'm not saying I completely agree with it because I don't know how I feel about this. It's speech, but an official, be it in Congress or the government, telling illegal immigrants they can stay is beyond encouragement. It will be perceived as a statement of authority. That could be inducement, in which case I actually consider it to be a very serious crime. Now, I don't know that anyone's actually going to go after AOC. We shall see. But of course, the left is freaking out. And, I did say I had an example, but I want to just read the news because otherwise I'm going to rant as I do sometimes. Smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know, and comment below. Guys, I got a general understanding what everyone's going to say. But considering there is a question of speech, right? Should individuals be allowed to speak that you can stay here, that you should be able to live here? Should that be criminal in regards to encouragement and inducement of illegal immigration? Now, to clarify, inducement is actually if you said something like, I'll give you this money to come and stay here. And then, of course, you have sanctuary city policies, in which case you have inducement. So AOC, I think, look, I'll tell you what I think. I think Mayor Wu of Boston and AOC should get criminally charged, and they should get a fine of like $200 or something and a slap on the wrist, right? It's like, hey, don't do this. It is illegal. You can't do it. Considering it's a question of speech, however, I throw it unto you to comment and let me know what you think. And also, don't forget to share the show, share the video. Rick Scott was speaking on Benny Johnson's show, and he actually said AOC should be charged. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what's currently going on. We got this from slate.com. AOC writes to DOJ to find out if she's actually under investigation. Hello, Pam Bondi. Is your agency being weaponized? Writes Slate. That's AOC's question for the head of the DOJ after Trump border czar Tom Homan threatened her for hosting a webinar with the Immigrant Defense Project, an advocacy group that offers legal aid to migrants, in which folks were educated on their legal rights in case they encounter immigration and customs enforcement. Now, hold on there a minute. To migrants, Let me go back to that point I was going to make before. There was a story, the example that I wanted to give. We'll throw it out there because it's basically come up right away. I've told this story before. I asked a human rights lawyer about New York's human rights law, which states that gender is protected. And I said, gender is defined in New York City law, under the Human Rights Code of New York, as self-expression. And it says the clothing you wear, the name you use. And I said, what if someone dressed up in a giant rabbit costume and whatever? And or the example you all know is, what if a guy got hired by Starbucks, normal clothes and everything, and then day one he shows up in a wolf fursuit, and he says his name is Vociferon, Herald of the Winter Mists, and that is his name. His name must be used, and everything I described, it is within the confines of New York human rights law. The name you request must be used. Your clothing must be respected. You cannot be made to dress in ways that are perceived as normal. And I spoke with 3 different human rights lawyers. They all said the same thing. You would be laughed out of court. To which my response was, but why? The law says you can't do this. How could a judge? And they said that's what judges are for. Judges interpret the law. My response, of course, was, so if a 6'5", super ripped guy, hairy and a beard, wore a dress and screamed he was Susan, a judge could laugh in his face and throw him out? And they all said no, because they understand the intent of the law. And I said, seems hypocritical, seems illogical, but that's the reality. We know what the intent of the law was, and the judges are going to say the purpose of this law is to protect transgender individuals, not furries. I said, okay. So the judge can choose when they laugh. It's not about codified law. It's about what the intent. Largely, yes. And then over time, it becomes textualized, meaning another example would be in New York, they banned public drinking. And one of the famous quotes from a city council, I believe it was a city councilman, said, let it be said, this will never be misconstrued to prevent a man from having a beer with his lunch while at work. And certainly that's what it is. So yeah, it becomes textualized. My point here is that when AOC, we had a webinar on their legal rights. The question is, will a federal judge be like, oh, well, can't do anything about it because it was about, no. Is he going to then say, I know what your intent was. You intended to encourage and induce illegal immigration. I don't care what you call it. I don't care how you structured it. That's a crime. In which case, right to jail. Now, this is interesting that AOC has written this letter. I do have the letter pulled up for you, which I want to read. But the development on the story, because it was a couple days ago, is that the mayor of Boston is effectively doing something similar when speaking before Congress and saying to the illegal immigrants, this is your home. It's not, and that is illegal. Again, I'll pull up the law in a second. But here we go. AOC wrote this on the 27th. To the Honorable Pam Bondi, I write to request clarity on whether the DOJ has yielded to political pressure and attempts to weaponize the agency against elected officials whose speech they disagree with. Over the past 2 weeks, border czar Tom Homan has gone on multiple forums threatening political prosecution against me, citing resources I distributed informing my constituents and the American people of their constitutional and legal rights. I'm going to pause and just say, my friends, the reason AOC wrote this letter is not because she needed clarity. This is a PR preempt. In the event she gets criminally charged for what is overt criminal actions, she wants to make sure she gets a statement out before. We call this information vaccination, right? Ian on IRL brought it up, that when fake news emerges, whatever story people see first, they'll put more weight towards. So if someone says Trump calls Nazis very fine people and the corporate press reports that, a default liberal, whatever random person is going to see it and go, whoa. But if you give them the information where Trump says, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, if you show them that video first, when the story comes out, they go, huh? But I saw the video. Trump didn't say that. He condemned them. In this regard, it's very similar. AOC wrote this letter not for clarity. She wrote it so that in the event she gets criminally charged, she will then say, see, I told you, I said they were going to politicize this, when in reality, it's not politicized. She overtly broke the law and is trying to dance around this. We cannot tolerate this. Most people in this country are sick of illegal immigration, and you've got Democrats championing it and breaking the law. Don't take my word for it. Let's pull up the law. Where do we have this silly thing? Did I have it pulled up over here? It's, I'm sorry. I didn't have it. 18 USC 1324. 1324. I actually remembered the code on this one because it comes up so often. I'm sorry, it's not 18, it's 8. I was wrong. It's 8 U.S. Code 1324, bringing in and harboring certain. I thought I had this pulled up. I guess I didn't. Okay, take a look. I bet I do have it pulled up somewhere. Anyway. Encourages or induces an alien to come, enter, or reside in the U.S., knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that such coming to entry or residence is or will be in violation of the law, or engages in any conspiracy to commit any of the preceding acts, or aids and abets the commission of any of the preceding acts, shall be punished as provided. That means everyone in her webinar would be culpable in this regard or face criminal liability. Now, I don't know that Trump wants to play a heavy hand like that, so I'm not convinced it'll actually happen. But I think it is fair to say that AOC outright broke the law. And what should be done is she gets a fine. They say, Pam Bondi should be like, yes, AOC, you did break the law. And we're issuing a $200 fine. Don't do it again. And then you know what? Then she's on notice. And they'll say, it's weaponization. And then Pam Bondi can respond, we wrote her a citation. What is she crying about? The law says don't encourage or induce illegal immigration. She did. She can go to court and challenge her $100, $200 ticket, which she probably will, make a big spectacle about it. And then we get answers. And AOC doesn't go to prison for this or anything like that. But we have to have enforcement. And there has to be precedent saying you can't do this. Otherwise, they'll keep doing it. And they are. She says, Mr. Homan announced he had asked the Deputy Attorney General to open an investigation and that I will be in trouble now. It has been 14 days since Mr. Homan first threatened to weaponize your agency, but I have not yet heard any referral from the federal government. Homan's actions undercut core constitutional rights, and further transparency is necessary. I am sure you're aware of the First Amendment of the Constitution. Get it? Indeed, last week, Vice President Vance said that many may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in a public square. Indeed, AOC, we are not talking about your views. We are talking about inducement and encouragement of criminal action, which is a crime. To put it simply, if AOC's intent was simply, you don't have to talk to cops, we'd say, well, that's fine. But we know what her intent was, and that's what judges are for. We don't just go, oh, rats, she tricked us. I love that people think this is a reality in law. Let's try another one. So in Chicago, when I was growing up, we had keggers. You guys know what a kegger is, right? Yeah, it's a party with a keg. And they'd be like, who got the keg? And they did this really funny thing that I absolutely love because they're stupid as a box of rocks. But hey, the beer was free. That's right. However, the red cup was $5. Yeah. We're not selling booze. We're selling red cups. Do you think that works? It's the funniest thing I've ever heard because there were several instances. People would rent a warehouse for a weekend and the warehouses knew what was going on with these parties. And they'd buy 2 or 3 kegs. They'd get a stacks of cups and then they'd say, you're free to take the booze, whatever, but the cups cost $5. And so everybody knew what the game was. It's $5 if you want access to the keg. It's unlimited booze for everybody. Like you can fill it up as much as you want. It's solicitation. All right. That's what they call it. And there were people who got charged and were shocked to find, but I was selling red cups, not beer. And they're going to be like, you think we're stupid? So AOC is playing stupid games. Okay. And now Rick Scott, he appeared a few days ago on Benny Johnson's show. And it said she seems like she's violating the law. Indeed, she is. Now, let's throw it to our good friends over on Reddit. I love how stupid people are. Ladies and gentlemen, I ain't going to pretend to be the smartest guy in the room, nor the world. There are a lot of things I don't know, and sometimes there are things I don't quite understand. But I am a guy who at least reads a little bit. And I can tell you this. 20 days ago, will Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez get charged by the DOJ? I don't think she will get charged by telling them the constitutional right. But will she still get charged with obstruction of justice? For example, if a police officer is trying to arrest a suspect and someone purposely interfering with it might be charged with obstruction of justice, I think this could apply to ICE raid, no? Let me just pause very quickly for this individual on this subreddit who got downvoted. It's encouragement inducement. It's 8 U.S.C. 1324, section A, subsection 4. That is, it's not about obstruction of justice. It's about her encouraging illegal immigration. You could also argue that's aiding and abetting the encouragement or inducement, which means her staff as well. Now, get this. When her staff hosted the webinar, she was supposed to be there. She didn't show up. You know why? She knows it's illegal. I love these people who think they know the law. Lap steel guitar with a top comment. Dumb as a box of rocks. AOC has congressional immunity. It's in the Constitution. She cannot be prosecuted for anything while doing her official job. Congress would first have to waive her immunity, not likely. While AOC is not a lawyer, advising people of their rights is not against the law. Also, she is not suggesting that people do anything illegal. I don't see any basis for anything other than blather from the DOJ on this topic. Someone responded, she is not suggesting. Just a heads up for your typo, I'm sure most understand your meaning. Haha. And they edited it. To be clear, she would have to personally waive her immunity. It cannot be waived by anybody without her consent. Heavens me! AOC is immune from all crimes? What? That's crazy. When you're in Congress, you can't go to jail? News to me, because we've had tons of members of Congress get criminally charged. And in fact, they're referring to, likely, the speech and debate clause, which is in the Constitution. Is it? I believe, my understanding is. And how about we read it? The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest. Really? Wait, there's more. During their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. The speech and debate clause pertains only to when they are in session. AOC can't go out randomly and commit crimes and get away with it. If she committed inducement or encouragement, so be it. So Constitution.congress.gov says the Supreme Court has described the speech and debate clause as a provision that cannot be interpreted literally, but instead must be construed broadly in order to effectuate the clause's vital role in the constitutional separation of powers. Deceptively simple phrases such as shall not be questioned, speech or debate, or even senators and representatives have therefore been accorded meanings that extend well beyond their literal constructions. Arguably, this purpose-driven interpretive approach has given rise to some ambiguity and blah, blah, blah. Despite uncertainty at the margins, it is well established that the clause serves to secure the independence of the federal legislature by providing members of Congress and their aides with immunity from criminal prosecutions or civil suits that stem from acts taken within the legislative sphere. How did they not read this? Legal advice. What is it? What subreddit is this? Legal advice off topic. The internet is full of experts, and I am certainly not one of them. All I can tell you is here's Congress.gov saying in the confines of their work. So AOC may go to jail. But there's more, and I can't believe it's 17 minutes already. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu defends sanctuary city policies before Congress. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. You can hear it right here.
You belong here. This is your home. Boston es tu hogar. Boston, 这里卡有，这是你的家. This is our city. We are the safest major city in the nation because we are safe for everyone. You belong here.
You belong here.
This is your home.
This is your home. This is a hearing where they were asked specifically about sanctuary city policies. Okay. So actually, I did have the law pulled up. It's right there. 8 USC 1324. For an official from Boston. Let's play your game. Legal advice off topic. She has no speech and debate clause immunities. She, in her official capacity as mayor, is telling illegal immigrants, this is your home. She is encouraging them to reside here explicitly. Let's just hammer this one out. Let me read it. Any person who encourages or induces an alien to come to, enter, or reside in the United States, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact, blah, blah, encouraging or inducing them to reside here, telling an illegal immigrant, this is your home. There is quite literally nothing more on the nose than that. Reside here. It's one thing if you said, I have a residence in Boston. It's another thing if you said, my home is in Boston. You understand the difference? Now, we can argue semantics all day and night, but generally we get it. There are people who have a residency or a residence in Boston, but their home is in New York. Lots of people, in fact, they have summer homes, a residence, but not their home. When you say, you know what, I'll say this. There was this, when I was a little kid, we had something on the wall. It said, a house is made of brick and stone. A home is made of love alone. That's right. So when she says, this is your home, she is quite literally on the nose. Nothing could be more in line with the law, encouraging people to reside in the United States illegally. That's a crime. For this, I believe these people should be criminally charged, AOC included. Now, once again, This letter from AOC is meant to preempt any charges that may come her way. For one, she's trying to drum up a news story so that liberals can be like, go AOC. But she's doing this to make sure she frames the narrative around what's happening before it actually happens. And I don't think she'll be criminally charged. I really don't. But this is basically her information vaccination. She said, are you going to weaponize the DOJ against my speech, my First Amendment rights? That's why she wrote the letter. So the narrative now exists that AOC is under threat of her rights being curtailed and political weaponization. If the DOJ now tries to actually go after her for her criminal actions, which are, I believe they are literally criminal, then she's going to say, told you so. And everyone's going to go, whoa, she was right. You see? That's how people think. She goes on to say, educating the public about their rights, especially in a time of rising uncertainty, is a key part of our responsibility as elected officials. A government that uses threats of DOJ investigations to suppress free speech is a threat to all. Okay, sure, whatever. Don't care. She should be charged. Mayor Wu should be charged. And any one of them. I mean, check out this video. I think I have the video right here. No, not that one. Which one is it? Here we go. Virginia Fox forced every last mayor at the hearing to admit how much they spent on illegal aliens over the last 4 years. If you are a city and you are providing illegal immigrant services, I believe you violated the law already. That's inducement. If you come here, we'll give you this thing. California offers up free health care to illegal immigrants. No joke, free health care. It's called Medi-Cal. I believe the DOJ should start locking these people up who are, look, I'll put it this way. If you're a healthcare provider in California, here's what I propose the DOJ do. An illegal immigrant can come in, or they can do a sting operation and have a guy go to a healthcare provider and say, I'm undocumented. I just got here and I need a medical check. I'm in a lot of pain. And as soon as the receptionist says yes, the cops walk in, pick her up, cuff her, and say you're under arrest for inducement for illegal immigration. And she'll be shocked and say, but what do you mean? It's the law. And they'll be like, you broke the law. You broke the law. You go to jail. And then give her a slap on the wrist. I don't think some random receptionist should go to prison, but they can cuff her. And they can do that to say to all of the medical providers, I don't care what your government says. If you aid, abet, induce, or encourage illegal immigration, it's a crime. Same for AOC and Mayor Wu. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. We got a bunch of big news coming up. It's going to get crazy today. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. What did I say? Smash the like button and share the show. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Thanks for hanging out. Castbrewcoffee.com. And we'll see you on the next segment.